My name is Dr. Rick Seguil.
And action. Hey, Jay, how did this is Kirk
Hey everyone, it's Dr. Rick, and thank you for attempting to watch my periodization rant that I just put out as a tutorial. I wanted to give you a dovetail. If you watched it, great. It was to give people an idea about accepting the long game and having a coach watch over you and give you guidance and increase the chances of success and predictability of outcome. If you're on your own, as far as nutrition, caloric deficits, undulating maintenance volume, with deficit volume, with exercise intensity, with restorative rest, then great. But don't forget, it's important to just go through the basics, and that's what I'll talk about now. I just want you to exercise most body parts twice a week. So this tutorial is on split routines. Typically, I mentioned this in the tutorial for periodization, but typically it takes about, if you exercise properly, whether it's 15 minutes or an hour, and I do 15 minutes because that's how good I am. No, that's all the time I have. You will expect, or you should expect, about 24 to 48 hours of aches and pains from the regions of the muscle and body that you exercised. That all depends on if you did shoulders and you went heavy with a 1 rep max, you're going to have 48 to 72 hours of rebuilding muscle. During that window after exercise, where you have delayed onset muscle soreness, you're not supposed to exercise that body group again. And thus comes the idea about split routines. If you split the week into two halves, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Monday and Thursday, you can do shoulders. Tuesday and Friday, you can do pecs or back. Wednesday and Saturday, you can do legs. So that's called a split routine because you're always working something out, but you're also giving 48 hours, 2 days, for that body part, that region, to recuperate. When you do shoulders on Monday, and then on Tuesday you do a different region, you technically will still be sore from the shoulders, but hopefully if you can isolate, especially with resistance exercise, if you can isolate the movement on the next day to specifically that region, you're not going to call on the other body parts that you just worked out. That is the essence of a split routine. So in some cases, you can do it like that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 different body parts, and then you repeat them again on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I've actually seen people do everything, all body parts, shoulders, back, pecs, and legs on one day, push very hard, and then repeat that on Thursday. So the only problem is, because you're doing so many body parts, you could get exhausted. And that will take a lot of time unless you know how to do it, what to do, you know how to deploy spotters in the gym or safety brackets in your gym, then it's cool. You just have to be careful with lifting so much weight. And listen, weight that you lift is relative to you. You've probably seen videos on YouTube with these gargantuan power lifters and Olympic lifters that move iron bars that just have these wagon wheels on each end. Those are iron plates that are about 45 pounds each, and it looks like they're competing in the Olympics, and they're massive. You don't have to do that. A deadlift, a squat, a bench, an overhead press, all those movements are important for regional development, but it is important to, again, rest, and it's also important to know your tolerability. Sometimes if your shoulders are a problem, then you should consider going to a physical therapist first to strengthen the weakness before you invest in exercise to that weak area. The more you do the work to the weak area, the higher the chance of re-injuring it, especially if you have a labral tear in the shoulder, or internal capsule tear to the hips, or patellofemoral syndrome to the knees, ankle instability and you're a runner. And that's my next part of this talk is, if you don't like resistance exercise, which half of America doesn't, you can rely on cardiovascular fitness. Biking, swimming, running, hiking, long distance, and it's very good. Cardiovascular fitness, the data shows it'll lower your blood pressure, lower your heart rate. It's very good for longevity. It oftentimes will give you the inspiration to not want to eat so much, because if you are a runner, especially if you're training for the marathon or you're training for the Shamrock Shuffle in March of 2022, and I'll put a link down below in case you're interested. I'll be there. Come with me. The idea would be you can train for that event and have great blood pressure and low heart rate, but don't forget, if you've ever seen runners, they're usually very aesthetic. Cyclists usually have big legs and pretty in shape. Swimmers, huge upper bodies, big shoulders. Legs are not so huge, just because of the sport that they're involved with. So each of these sports has their positives. If you look at obesity in the United States, and if you look at high cholesterol in the United States or around the world, I have gone through the data, and having muscle and resistance exercise usually works better than cardiovascular exercise to lower diabetes, cholesterol, triglycerides. Metabolism is better controlled with resistance more so than cardiovascular fitness. And the cool thing about resistance is that you can, if you have an injury, you can focus your training around the injury. Meaning if you have a bad shoulder, you can do a lot of other things to build up muscle and avoid touching the shoulder. You still have to get to a physical therapist, work in that weak part, but before that gets to either surgerized or resolved, you don't want to neglect the rest of your body, and that's what's nice about resistance exercise. If you're a swimmer, if you're a cyclist, if you're a runner, and you have an injured body part, usually that you can't do those activities until the injured body part is fixed. Again, another plus for resistance exercise. The other thing with osteoporosis, and that's where I see some of my runners, the lighter you are, the higher the chances of osteoporosis. Being lean is good, but having low body fat and limited muscle is also a setup for osteoporosis, osteopenia. You have to modulate the nutrition to fit the individual. So trying to take all these different individuals and put them into a cookie cutter, that doesn't work. And that's why I think a lot of people say, I don't want to go back to a nutritionist. As far as physical therapists that might be able to show you a couple things, I think that Athletico is probably the best. I like the way that they have physical therapists, but the assistants at Athletico, at least, a lot of them are athletic trainers, certified athletic trainers that know how to put exercise routines together. So one of the benefits of going to Athletico is, there's a physical therapy place, is that I can ask the physical therapist to take care of your knee and prescribe a program, or take care of core, take care of shoulder, and prescribe a program, and then I'll usually put at the end, please transfer to trainer for a home exercise routine to apply at Planet Fitness, Lifetime Fitness, to enhance her running style for a competition in March, the Shamrock Shuffle. So that's the cool thing about that kind of physical therapy. But there are some physical therapy centers that are kind of very vanilla. They'll just take care of the injury, and then they'll send back to the primary care doctor saying, well, she's not any better, so just get a surgical opinion and an MRI. And that's not fair. If they don't do their job and they say you failed as a patient, the only alternative is to send you to a surgeon, and you know what they do. I mean, there are some good surgeons, but if their greatest tact is to cut and you failed physical therapy, that's my rant. I mean, it meant to start out as what a split routine was, but as you can see, all this stuff is important to consider just in trying to figure out how to exercise somebody and move their lifestyle forward. So thanks for watching until this point. If you have any questions on, or if you have people around you that have really been helpful to get you success in lifestyle change, put them down below. I think other people would want to hear. And don't forget, if you think that this helped you, thumbs up would help with the algorithm at YouTube, or share this with other people who are in the same boat. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.